If you've ever bought the planner, downloaded the app, started the morning routine, and quit by Thursday, then decided that you were the problem, stay with me for the next 5 minutes because the problem was never about discipline. The problem is that almost all mainstream wellness advice is designed for neurotypical nervous system. And if you're watching this, just along with me, we don't have neurotypical nervous systems. So today we're going to walk through wellness trends that reliably fail on neurodivergent women and why they fail, right? We're going to talk about why they fail. And because I never want to take things away from you, we're going to talk about how to keep the useful core of each one of these trends in a form that our nervous system can actually live with. Right? What actually can work for us? Because the core principles aren't wrong. It's just the way that they go about them aren't wired for our neurodivergent brains. Okay? So, why wellness is designed for neurotypical brains? Most wellness advice assumes three things about us. One is that our motivation is stable from day to day. Okay. Two is that repetition automatically builds habit. And three is that stillness feels safe. And for a lot of neurodivergent women, none of these three things are really true, right? Or parts of them are not true. So ADHD brains show real differences in dopamine signaling and reward processing. We know that, right? And this has even been demonstrated with imaging research in adults. There was an imaging study in JAMA in 2009 that showed reduced dopamine transporter and receptor availability in the reward pathway in adults with ADHD. We know that, right? We know that we can't access that dopamine the same way, right? We've been fighting that all of our life. So when a plan depends on doing the same low stimulation thing every single day, purely because it's good for us, it's fighting our neurology, right? It's fighting our biochemistry and it's not building on it or helping us. And then in midlife, we add on a second layer to this, right? And what is that? Estrogen declines and is fluctuating. And we know, we've talked about it here on this channel all the time, that estrogen is a huge piece in that prefrontal cortex for us, right? It is a huge piece in the CEO portion of our brain. We know the estrogen dopamine interaction. And so if we're in midlife, we have an even bigger hurdle to overcome, right? We have a bigger piece to overcome of that. So let's break down a couple trends that I see all the time and everyone talk about. And let's talk about how we can make these work for our brain. Now, remember, if something feels weird, odd to you, you're like, I don't want to do that, don't do it. Remember, one size does not fit all. We should know this best in the neurodivergent community. If something doesn't work or feel right, stop doing it. Okay? It's not meant for everyone. So, trend one, the 5 a.m. morning miracle. I hear this a lot, right? Like, wake up at 5 a.m., get your workout in, do this, do that, right? So the promise is if you win the morning, you win the rest of the day, okay? And the reality for many of us neurodivergent women is delayed sleep is common, right? We're having trouble sleeping. So a 5 a.m. alarm often means chronic sleep restriction. And less sleep makes everything worse, right? It makes executive functioning worse, emotional regulation worse, and impulsivity worse. So telling us to get up at 5 a.m. in the morning will be beautiful, we're trading a thing our brain needs the most for a routine that looks good on Instagram. Here's the thing though, keep the core idea. The core idea is right? A predictable on ramp to your day. But anchor it to waking up, not to a specific clock time, right? Three anchors in order. Whenever you wake up, the first thing you should do is get light, right? The second thing is water and protein, or you can do them all together. That's a routine and it counts, okay? It doesn't have to be the time. Keep the core principle. Light, water, protein. All right, what about silent meditation? This is the one that makes me crazy because it does not work for me. The promise is that stillness will calm you. The reality for many of us, right, is that unstructured silence turns up our volume. It does that for me. I get racing thoughts, body discomfort, sometimes distress. Mindfulness research overall is legitimate, right? But most protocols weren't designed or tested specifically for our neurodivergent brains. One time I was at a sound bath and the sound was so amplified that I literally said, if this does not stop in 10 seconds, I will get up and leave because it bothered me that much. Okay. So regulation doesn't require stillness. Moving meditation counts. Walking, swimming, knitting, coloring, breathing with counting, body doubling with quiet music. The goal is a downshifted nervous system, which is so true in what we need, right? We need to activate that parasympathetic, but that we don't have to do that in a specific posture. Okay, we don't. All right, trend 3, meal prepping Sundays and rigid nutrition plans. Who's heard this all day, every day, right? The promise, decide once, eat well all week. The reality is rigid plans collapse the first time your week doesn't cooperate. And for our neurodivergent brains, eat this exact thing on Thursday. Ignores that Thursday you may find that food sensory unbearable or just dead boring, right? And then I'm not going to eat it. And then you're back to cereal for dinner plus shame because you're like, oh, I should have did this. Translation, structure the categories, not the meals. A protein you like, a vegetable you tolerate, a carb that's easy, stocked in multiples, assembled on demand, right? Same food is eating is fine. Safe foods are a feature, they're not a failure. And we need to have them readily accessible, right? Because we know that when we need them, we need them. Okay. Trend 4 is streak trackers and habit apps. The promise is don't break the chain. The reality for us is a lot of us, that broken streak doesn't motivate us. It triggers an all or nothing shutdown. I miss one day, I delete the app. I abandon the habit. I add it to the pile of evidence that I can't stick to anything. Okay, so what are we going to do? Track frequency, not streaks. I moved my body 11 times this month. That's 3 more times than I did last month. I survived this bad week. I broke my 40-day streak. Doesn't do that, right? It sends us into a spiral. Oh, I'm right. I can't do this. I can't stick to anything. No, we have to change the frame of mind. And then this trend is just reduce your screen time. Here's the promise. If you scroll less, you get more peace. Okay. Partially that is true, but the reality for a lot of us is that the phone is doing a job. It's actually stimulating or decompressing between tasks. Removing it without replacing the function just leaves the need unmet, right? And then the need wins. So what do? We ask what the scrolling is doing for you in the moment. Is it giving you stimulation? Is it giving you avoidance? Is it giving you rest? And we need to swap in something that does the same job. We'll go much deeper into this in the dopamine video series later on, so make sure that you're following and watching, okay? I want you to hear me. The translation rule, okay? Here it is. Here's the rule I want you to take away from this video. When you meet a piece of wellness advice, don't ask, can I make myself do this? First off, if you have to ask that, don't do it. Ask, what is the core benefit and what is the lowest friction, most sensory tolerable version of it for my brain? Mine. Sleep, movement, protein, connection, downshifting your nervous system. Those are non-negotiables. The packaging is completely negotiable. How we get there is completely negotiable. Okay? We don't have to do something and we don't have to think we're a failure about something because it's on TikTok and Instagram and it doesn't work for our brains. If this landed, the rest of this series is for you. We're covering flexible self-care, sensory-friendly movement, dopamine and late diagnosis. So first off, subscribe so you don't miss any of those, right? And remember that I write more about this every single week on Substack. So go to the link in the description and listen. You are never failing at wellness. Wellness was failing to account for you, okay? Make sure you send this to someone that you care about that may be struggling. And I'll see you in the next video.